Hey everybody, back with another video, and looks like my Joust is down again. So I had fixed it, I thought, and with a 131 error, and then it came back after I replaced the socket on the decoder ROM. So that's what we're going to look at today. I might actually borrow the CPU board from Bubbles or Robotron to kind of investigate this a little bit further, and then I went down a big rat hole with a whole bunch of other stuff, including signature analysis on the Williams game. So that's what we're going to do in this video. All right, here we are at the bench. I have a quick little JAMA adapter here. I think I've shown that in previous videos, wired up. And I have just the ROM board and the CPU board. And I also have Vector Collector's NOP adapter, but I'm going to probably backtrack from that to start the video. It kind of sucks because I was actually working on a missile command when this started happening again, this 131 error. And then I went down this whole rat hole, started doing signature analysis with my K&K Kurz Kasch Sig2, just because I was curious. And then I had recently picked up this HP 5005, and I figured, hell, I haven't used it yet, so I might try to use it in this video. I'm not sure, but I can always use my K&K there. What else? 131 typically means that it's a problem reading the RAMs when you get a 131 error on the LED. I'm going to show this in a second. And a lot of times it's not actually the first RAM, which it would be this. This is bank 3, RAM 1. So 1 is RAM. 3 is this bank, 2, bank 1, 2, 3, and this is the first RAM. And obviously it's not able to read that RAM for some reason. I'm not sure why. A lot of times it could be the decoders, or it could be these, I think 153s at, let's see here, 4E, 3F. I think it's there, and there. I'm pretty sure. No, it's here. These four right here. This one. And these were actually already marked by somebody who had the board before me. So they must have already checked these. And I also checked these with a logic comparator. I might show that again. And they look fine. And then I'm going down a rat hole. So I can't figure out what's causing the 131 error. So that's why we're going to do a video. Hopefully learn some stuff. All right, let's plug it in. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is test some voltage and show you guys voltage here real quick. Even though I have my adapter set up, I mean, these lines are pretty long, so it's always good to have, I think, extra hookups personally. But let's power it on. And sometimes I get the 131 and sometimes a 134. All right, there's a 134. So you would think it's the fourth RAM chip, right? See, 134. Now it even shows that on the screen there. One RAM indicator, RAM 134. See what it goes to here. Now it went to 0, and we're getting this right here. Kind of interesting, right? Now let's hit the reset. 134, 134, all right? So what's on the screen, normal boot up, that's what it looks like when it normally boots up. So now I'm getting 134 error instead of 131. Reset it again, pretty consistent 134. I have my multimeter here set up, and one of the things you can do with the RAM chips is, a lot of people say test the power at the RAM chip. Whoops. Let's go volts. This side is negative. This side, it should be the plus 12. So we got 11.55, and all of these, that's negative 5. So the next bunch of decoupling capacitors are negative 5, as you can see here. There's my negative 5 volt rail, a little bit high. And then I go to my 12 volt rail. And then I should be able to go to my negative 5 volt rail. Then the 12 volt rail, as you can see. And then again to the negative 5. And over here is your plus 5 volt rail. +5's on that side. Looks a little low, right? Even though I'm hooked up to my JAMA here, it's a little low. So what I'm going to do is actually hook up some additional power right to the decoupling capacitors. So that's +5. This is -5 over there, and then +12 right there. All right, be right back. All right, so I have my 5 volt, not -5 and +12 volt hooked up right there on those decoupling capacitors, and where I'm just going to measure voltage if I can. One hand here. We're going to power it up, see if our error changes. 134 doesn't change. All right, let's measure our voltage. We got now solid 12 volts. If we check our -5, -5.1, and our +5, 4.9. So much better voltage on the rails now versus just coming through my single, 5 volts from there to the JAMA, from the JAMA all the way over here. There's just some voltage loss going on there. So we should be good as far as that goes. All right, now what do we want to do? We can check obviously the voltage on the RAM chips. You would think you could just replace this one chip and it'd be fine, right? There's 4.9. And then on this side right here, we got our 12. And then I think up here on the upper right is our ground, upper left, -5. -5, 5. So -5 is up here, upper left, pin 1. And then pin 8 is 12 volts. And then pin 9 is 5 volts. And pin 16 is ground. Alright, so now I'm not getting, I'm not actually getting 131 error, which is kind of weird, right? 134. So let's go ahead and test this, pull this chip. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to pull this chip. I'm going to test it in my Nia lock real quick, and we'll see if this is actually the problem or not. I doubt it. Alright, came right back, and it reset on its own, and then I started getting 131 error. So let me hit reset again. I haven't even done anything. I was letting it run, and then all of a sudden it started giving me the 131 error again. So that's why I know that I'm pretty sure this chip is fine. I mean, I've tested these already before I even started this video, and I know they're good. I've actually tested all these previously in the previous videos. So hit reset. See how consistent we are. 1, 3, 1. Yep. Alright, so now we're back to the original symptom that I thought I had. But it did show a little bit different. Maybe as things warm up, now I have the 131 error. I don't know. Alright, well, the bubbles board did not work. And the other thing is, I believe, see, I have composite sync. Not that it's going to matter, but I have composite sync wired up on this connector here for my PVM monitor. And I believe you need to cut this trace here, because it puts out positive composite sync versus negative, and if you cut this trace, it will put out negative, I think. I'm pretty sure about that. But I'm not worried about that. This is my Robotron board, and I'm just going to power it up and basically just rule out this ROM board as part of the problem. Yep. And obviously you can see the sync is jacked up, but Joust is running. It's a little bit difficult to see, so we know the problem is definitely on the CPU board, and I wanted to have another CPU board so I could actually do some comparison from a signature analysis and make sure it's accurate. Plus, I'm going to go ahead and replace the headers. Since I have both my bubbles and Robotron boards out, I'm going to replace these power headers on here on the CPU boards. So yeah, and I obviously have additional decoder ROMs that I can check too. Okay, so let me come right back. Okay, you might be wondering, why am I skipping all these steps and not troubleshooting the memory and just using a logic probe and stuff like that, which I could do. But I went down a rabbit hole, and I wanted to get some signatures on a known working board with the 6809. I'm not going to film all of that, but I also had picked this up on eBay and have never hooked it up yet, so I don't even know if this thing is working. I did just power it on right before I started filming, and I saw something that I don't think was in the eBay auction, so I'm going to have to address that as well. But anyway, that's why. I'm not going to film all this signature analysis. I don't even know how to use this HP 5005, but it looks pretty cool. Definitely has a lot more features than the K&K one, but ultimately, damn, yeah, this clock doesn't want to, this grabber doesn't want to stay on. I might replace this grabber. I do like the fact that the HPs have these grabbers. I'll be right back. So I'll do probably another video of just using this maybe, but let's power it on here. And it says error 10. I don't know what that means, but that's probably not good. When I looked at the eBay auction, I'm pretty sure they didn't mention that when they powered it on, it said error 10 on it. And also, I did see these lights, so I know they powered it on, but they didn't reference that. So got a little bit of a beef with that. I mean, don't sell some on eBay and then, you know, even if you say as is and crap like that, and if you say it powered on, that's BS if you don't list the errors, man. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay, so I'm going to put normal signature here. We are going to put our clock on, let's see, how did I have the other one set up? Not trailing edge, but we're going to put the clock on falling edge right there, and then rising edge on the start and stop. So start and stop we're going to put on like that, and then this one we're going to put like that for clock. Alright, and let's power it on, and then I guess this probe is what you use to get the signature, so let me power it on and see what we get. Alright, and we should get like something on pin 14 here. See if we actually get a good signature. I am not getting a signature. I should get a signature on that. Interesting. Now this says start and stop. Maybe I don't have the stop on there. I need to put the stop on. I wasn't sure about this because it says qualitative. I don't even know what that means. Let me put my... Oops. Everything's falling off here. I'll be right back. This isn't meant to be a troubleshooting session here, but I did change it to kilohertz. And I come over here to my clock. And it looks like we're getting good. Yeah, 999, so almost 1 megahertz, right? And that's what I read on my oscilloscope too. So it's able to read clock, but if I go to my signatures, my signature to plus 5 volts says CUT4. That should be 0003, as you can see there on the 6800. The signatures on the right is what we're using there. And my signature on pin 15 should be 002, and that's not right. Clock is falling and start and stop is rising. So I don't think the signature analysis is working correctly. It's like adjust noise. I don't know what the hell that does. But anyway, let me come back and then hook up my K&K so I can actually do some signature analysis. I'll save this for another all right, video. Same setup except for with my Sig2 here. We'll turn it on. And basically once we power it on, we get a good clock. Our gate should start flashing. Yep. And then if we touch 5 volts, we should have 003. Oh, I get CUT4. What the hell? What's changed? That's exactly what I was getting on the other one. Maybe the signature analysis was working. Why is that? Interesting. Did I change something? Because I did wire up this maybe the signature analysis is working. I must have did something when I wired this up, this adapter. Fuck, damn it. Oh shit. Now I'm not getting the same signatures I was because what did I change? I might have bridged something when I was soldering. Alright, let me think about that. Alright, I put my original board in. I know this has nothing to do with troubleshooting this 131 error. I did disconnect this, the ROM board. I don't think that's going to make a difference. I put my original CPU in, my original board in, and I didn't change anything on the NOP adapter. And if I come to 5 volts, I get 003. And why is that? This is interesting to me. So if I look at pin 25, no, pin 23, which is address line 15, I get 002, and that matches what the 6800 is for address line 15, 002. But why am I getting it on this board but not the other board? I'm going to swap out the CPU. Why would that be? I mean, they're the exact same boards. I'm filming this with you, so I put in the CPU for my Robotron in here. Let's see if we get the same signatures. 5 volts. Yep. Get the same signature. 003. So it's definitely not the CPU. What is going on with that other board? So maybe, do I have a clock issue on this board? I mean, why am I getting different signatures on the Robotron board than this board? That doesn't make sense. 4868, which is the address line 13, that's correct. And my 5 volt signature is correct, 003. That is bizarre. I know, so the NOP has to be working right, but maybe there's something going on with getting the clock. No, see, the clock shouldn't impact this. Fuck, I don't know. I mean, just as long, all you need to do to get a signature is have a consistent clock. It just needs to be consistent. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 1 megahertz or whatever. If I use E or even if I use the Q on the 6809 instead of the E. Right? Is it Q? Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to test that. I have it hooked up, my clock hooked up to pin 35, which is Q. Come to 5 volts. I get, whoops, damn. 003. What the fudge? Alright, I'm back at this thing after screwing around with my HP. I did a video on that, and it's in pieces, but I still have my K&K signature analyzer working. This is my Robotron board. This is the Joust board. They're pretty, as far as I know, they're identical. I don't know why I'm getting different signatures. I might continue down the signature analysis, but just to show, basically, it's Joust is working on the Robotron board. So we know it's not that board. Something's going on this board. I'm going to go backwards, verify I'm still getting different signatures, and then I might just leave it at that and start troubleshooting the actual memory issue, or why I'm getting bad memory. So alright, that's what I'm going to do. Let me disconnect this ROM board, put in my no operation adapter that Vector Collector made. I did have to make just a couple modifications. It's on the thread. He mentioned it. I think there's also an issue with the cat switch on this 6809 too. I'm going to show that real quick, but alright, be right back. Alright, I've been messing around. I don't even know where I was at because it's been at least an hour or so, but basically I've gotten the signature analyzer thing worked out. The issue, what I did is I just printed out the 6809 pinout, and I just wanted to check what pins were doing what. Like, I was concerned about this BS and BA maybe being different between the two boards, or this TSC or LIC. and I did see some difference, but then I noticed that on the Robotron board, my reset line was toggling, and that wasn't obvious even from the oscilloscope. I put on my logic probe on there, and basically that was causing the issue. And there's a WATCHDOG disable pad right there next to, what is that, 5H? Yeah, right there off of 5H. There's a WATCHDOG disable pad. You have to cut that to disable the WATCHDOG. There might be a better way to do it, but on my Joust board, the WATCHDOG is actually disabled, and so even if there was a problem with the board, it wouldn't be resetting because the WATCHDOG was disabled. So anyway, now I have signature analysis working. Whoops, let me just show that real quick. If I go to 5 volts, I have 003, which is what we should have. The only thing is, if I go to pin 4868, 9UP1, address line 15 is 001 versus 002, but I think the 001 is actually accurate. The 6800 says it should be 002. I'm getting 001 on this board. I'm going to go back and actually check my Joust board real quick just to see if I'm getting 001 on that as well. Be right back. Right, this is my non-working Joust board, and if I go to address line 15, I'm getting 002 versus 001, and that's just on the CPU. That's kind of weird, right? I mean, the address lines, interesting. So maybe there's something wrong with address line 15 on my Joust board, and the other one, it's supposed to be 001. Interesting. Alright, to try to figure out what's going on with the different signature readings at address line 15, I ended up bending out that pin 2123, address line 15. I bent it out from the board so it's not tied to the board. And yeah, and this is I did that in my Joust board, and I got 0002 again. So I put back in the Robotron board. Oh yeah, it's powered up. And let's see what we get. 0002. So the signatures do match a 6800, and for some reason when this pin is tied to the board on this Robotron, it reads 0001, and I don't know exactly why that is, but we're going to find out hopefully. But yeah, it's 0002. So the Joust board seems to be, I guess, correct, except for that when that pin's connected to the board, it reads 0001. So we'll figure it out. All right, this is getting a little bit interesting. So I've messed with this before. Like, I have everything on the rising edge, start, stop, and clock on the rising edge. And honestly, it shouldn't matter whether the clock's on the rising edge or trailing edge. Like, that's 4868, okay? And if I change the clock to the falling edge, I get 48. Why was it jumping? Maybe it doesn't, like, is it stable? Yeah, 4868. Okay, whether it's on the rising edge or the trailing edge. Sometimes it matters, but you know, you just want to be consistent. But now if I go to address line 15, whoops, that's my 5 volt signature, 0003, 1, 2, 3, and address line 15 is now reading basically high. On the Robotron board, my address line 15 is stuck high, is what it appears, right? 0003. And if I change my clock to falling edge, right, I get 0001, which is also, so I'm just gonna, actually is it toggling? It is toggling, but my signature is 1, 2, 3. A little unstable, actually. What's going on? Interesting. I don't know. It's more stable when it's on the rising edge, I think. That's so weird. Did I screw something up by slipping? I don't know. I'm gonna put the ROM board back on, make sure it still works. Yep, everything's still working with the Robotron board. It's so weird. But everything's working, so I know this CPU is getting different signatures when it's under test, which is interesting. Yeah. All right, just for documentation's sake, I put in a socket and bent out all the address lines. So none of the address lines are actually tied to the board. We're just getting clock and power from the board. And address line 15 is 002, regardless of how my clock is. Now, if I change the start and stop signals, does that change it? Yeah, that changes it to 001. If my start and stop is on falling edge, I get 001 on address line 15, but all my other signatures are correct. So definitely important to have this on the right rising or trailing edge. I think I'm gonna come back, and so that's how you can get a 001 reading, is by having your start and stop on the trailing edge. Let me see how it's supposed to be set up. All right, it's the next day, and I was actually about to give up on doing signature analysis because I couldn't get consistent results when these address lines were tied through to the board on address line 15. But anyway, so I powered it up this morning, and I actually have my ROM board connected, and the address lines are going through to the board, and I have everything on the rising edge, just like I had before, and I get the proper signatures, like 002 at address line 15, which is what I believe you're supposed to be getting. And my other signatures look right. That's address line 14. It's address line 15. And it's behaving correctly, like regardless of whether I have clock on the falling edge or the rising edge, address 15 is 002. And just like when I didn't have the address lines going through to the board, if I put everything on falling edge, I get 001. So I am going to do signature analysis with everything on the rising edge, and then I ended up taking signatures from a whole bunch of chips. I'm not going to show that whole process, but basically I've gotten through the decoders, the address buffers, some of the enables. You can even get all the way to some of these address lines on the ROMs are stable. For example, ROMs on the RAMs are stable. Most of the address lines are stable. So that's beneficial. That's going to be good for at least tracking, everything between the address line of the CPU through the decoders, any multiplexers and stuff like that, all the way to here. Now, I think one thing, where the hell is what I do with my piece of paper? I think it's my schematic of the 4116 RAM, and I get stable signatures. I haven't recorded them yet on A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, but not on A6. A6 is pin 13, 16, 15, 14, 13. Yeah, not a stable address signal there, but I haven't really looked at the schematic. This could be being driven by some timing circuit or something like that, for all I know. But definitely on all the other address lines, I'm getting stable signatures on the RAMs, so I'm hoping that this is going to help me. I was also able to get stable signatures on the decoder, and I don't know why having this ROM board is the only change I made, so there could be some signal. You know, it might be holding something down low or high or something. I don't know. I have to look to see what's different, or also test on another board just to make sure I can reproduce the stable signatures every time. But it's promising. Showing some promise here on signature analysis. So, all right, I powered on. I hooked up my Robotron board, and with the ROM board attached, so there's got to be a signal that's doing something. If I come to address line 15, I have 002, just like I expect, regardless of whether clock is on falling edge or rising edge. I get 002 on the address lines. All my addresses are now stable. You know, I don't get that 007 on VCC. So there's something with having the ROM board attached that has stabilized my address 15 signature, or you know, just stabilized the behavior. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'll eventually figure it out, I think, hopefully. But the good news is I'm able to get good signatures. And let me see if I had this board. Let's just go to like 5K pin 1 and see if it's the same. 51H9 5K. Here's 5. And we got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. 5K pin 1. H9, same as what I had on my Sinistar board. I could do some other ones, like let's check 3G pin 13, 6420. Bam, 6420. That's the address decoder 4 right there in both boards. So making some progress, feeling good about this. All right, back at this again. I know I'm taking a lot of breaks, but I actually did get that working. I will link to a video of me getting that working, but it's 100% working now. So I've switched over to the 550A. No, HP 5005A, sorry. But anyway, I put my Joust board back on because I was comparing some signatures, and I was getting some differences on 6G. I don't know if this is an issue or not. I'm going to have to go back, but I'm going to work backwards now. I compared 6G on my Robotron board and Sinistar board to 6G here, and the outputs, I wasn't getting the same readings. I was getting basically, these were just reading 003 on all the outputs, pins 6, 8, and 11 of 6G, which basically drives the enable pin of these, what is it, 74 LS 374s, which are like, I think are on the data buffer side, I think. So this chip right here, and it actually has a mark on it, so maybe somebody previously was working on this board. Check this out. So anyway, that alerted me to something. This is my Joust board. I figured I'd power it up, and we'll just look at the signals real quick together. I don't know if this is a problem or not, but we're just going to look on the scope at pins. You know, I still get the errors and everything. It says 134. But what are we looking at? We're looking at pin 8, right? Pin 8. What the hell? Oh, I'm on the wrong chip. Shoo. All right, pin 8. All right, there we go. So, as you see what I'm getting there, that's pin 8. And part of that's the output, and the input is partially pin 9. Should have the same signature. And that's what pin 9 looks like. So you can see that the low is going all the way to the low, right? Or the valley, or whatever you want to call that. The lower line is all the way at 0 volts, and we're almost at 5 volts at the upper line. It's like about 4 volts right there. But this is the output. It's not getting all the way down below, you know, all the way to 0 volts. Now, I don't know if that's bad or not. It just alerted to me, and it looks like the same way. I'm not going to film every single time, but all of the pins kind of look a little whacked out like that. So that's what we're looking at. That's pin 8. Let's go to pin 6. 6 is the same way. That's another output. And if you come over here to pin 1 of this 374, I think, you see that looks the same. If I do the other one here, I think there's 3 of these. 3 enables for this. They all look the same. Now, very well that could be normal, but I'm just going to film it. I'm going to put my Joust board back on. We'll do a signature real quick too, just to make sure. Do I have my signature on? Okay, signature. We'll just do a quick comparison. Pin 6G, pin 8. What's going on here? Oh, I don't have. I can't do a signature analysis. I'll put in my my NOP adapter in real quick. We'll take a signature on this just so you can see the signatures, and then we'll switch. Focusing on 6G, pin 8. Just shows it as high, 003. And you know the signal is mostly high, but that's probably because, so think about it, right? Actually, I'm just thinking about it with you. We saw it trying to go low, and it should be toggling, but it wasn't going all the way potentially below the low trigger value. And I might actually experiment with a feature of this 5005A to kind of trigger a signature on this thing. Yeah, I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm thinking that it's only reporting the high signature, 0003, because it's not going all the way to the low value. 51H9 is what we're supposed to be getting. If you look at my cheat sheet here, I had 51H9 on pin 9 and 51H9 on pin 8. Now, one of the things, I haven't tried this, I'm doing this on the fly with you guys, I have no idea. Let's adjust the TTL stop-start level, or maybe data. Let's raise what's low to, like, you know, 1.1 volts or something. Alright, and then now let's see. I'm just experimenting because this is kind of interesting now. Am I going to get a signature? Nope. Still just says 003. Let's raise it up a little bit more. And then sure, why not? See how that goes. All right. Oh, look at that. Now it's starting to get some signatures. Something's happening on that pin. Right? And if I go to the pin that's still working, 51H9, I'm able to get a signature, right? Now it's not stable on pin 8, but I'm able to get it off of this 0003 reading. Anyway, I think I'm on to something there. I'm going to go ahead and power off this board, put my Robotron board back on. We'll compare the signatures. We'll compare the oscilloscope, what it looks like. and see if we found our problem on the enable pins for those data buffers or whatever they are. Robotron board on, signature analyzers on. Oh crap, I think it's this one, right? The 7432. Pin 6, we clearly get a 51H9 signature. And this is what you use signature analysis for, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing it the right way, I'm just like not doing it in some type of scientific way. I was just taking signatures on chips as I went through the schematic and kind of learned what each chip was doing, what was responsible for enables and address lines and stuff like that. But obviously on my Robotron board this is working correctly. I get a 51H9 signature on pin 8, and on the probably the input, or partially responsible for the input, is 51H9 as well. And if I come over on this side, what is it, pin 6? Pin 6, C5, F8, that matches there. And that should match pin 4, which is right, damn it. Come on, but C5, there you go. I'm about to run out of battery. I'll pause, we'll come right back, put the CPU in, look at the signal on right, this video is so long I'm running out of memory here. What are we looking at? 6G right here. Yeah, so this is what it looks like on the oscilloscope on a working board. You can kind of see the low levels there. You can barely see it, but it's all the way down at 0 volts. That's what it's supposed to look like. And if I come to, let's see here, where's 6G? 6G, pin 9, that's pin 9. Pin 8. Actually, let me pause and I'll adjust so I can actually mess with this a little bit more. That way you can hopefully see. Which one's easier to see? I don't know. But you can definitely see it going all the way down to the 0 volts. So that is the problem. Now we're able to get signatures on that chip. It is a 7432. I'm not exactly sure what that is off the top of my head. Like a quad NOR gate or something. I'll look it up real quick. Quad 2-input positive OR gate. So this is what it's supposed to be doing, and you can see pin 9 and 10 basically drive the output of pin 3. That's the one we were looking at, but the other ones were jacked up too for some reason. So I guess it could still be something else, but I think it's this chip. Everything's indicating that. So let me go find a 7532, pull it off of a board, and desolder this thing. Or I'm going to cut it out actually. And then we'll replace it and see what happens. For completeness sake, I'm in a little compressed situation here, but you can see this is my Joust board. It's got a ROM error 34, and I went ahead and hooked up my comparator, and it's definitely showing bad on pins 3, 6, 8, and 11. All the outputs are bad on that 7432. So I guess there was multiple ways we could have identified this as being bad. I just happened to go a long way around with a signature analyzer that actually just poking around and prodding, but I could have figured it out with the oscilloscope by looking at the enable pins of these data buffers. I think they're data buffers, 74, I'll come back to that, but whatever. It's this one, and this one. These three right here is what's taking the data from the RAMs and feeding it back into the CPU. And those enable pins are controlled by the 7432 at 6G. And so we could have figured it out a couple different ways, but I was just interested in doing signature analysis on this because Vector Collector created that, and we'll come back here and hopefully fix this board in a second. Alright, don't have much battery left. Pull a used pull. I don't even know if this 7432 is good. Let's power it on. See what we get. Looks like it might be working. Yep, all systems go. I got my 0 on there. Everything's looking good. That was the fix right there. 7432. If I power on my scope, I don't know. I don't have much battery, guys. Just look at that pin again real quick. Pin 8. And we can see that looks much better. The voltage, the low parts of the voltage, I don't even know how to describe this, but it's going all the way down to 0 volts. So that was definitely the problem. Took me a while to get there. Kind of, you know, not the most efficient way to troubleshoot, but it's working now. And I learned a ton about signature analysis and also recorded some signatures for Williams. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Take care. Later.